Hey everyone, hope you're doing good today. Saturday, November 7th. Every Power 5 conference team is in action today. Every Power 5 conference team, every Power 5 conference is in action today. The Pac 12 joins the fray today with a 9 a.m. local time broadcast in Los Angeles as Arizona plays USC. And it's going to be a busy morning. I want to jump on here, maybe watch some games with you guys here in the early going. A couple games late in the first half. Indiana just took a 17-7 lead against Michigan. Maybe Indiana is legit, or maybe Michigan's terrible. I don't know. Michigan and that Michigan-Minnesota game in week 1 of the Big Ten certainly led a lot of us astray. Not quite expecting what has happened these last 2 weeks with Michigan, but that's college football for you. Another game that maybe not getting a lot of attention right now, but Temple is beating number 18 SMU. SMU, of course, is not in a playoff or even New Year's Six race at this point after its loss to Cincinnati. But that's something to watch. North Carolina is beating up on Duke 35-7. What a disappointing year for Duke. But hey, it's the way it is. Oh, hey, Chris, how you doing, man? Can't watch Texas versus West Virginia because of the election. Excuse me. Yeah, I saw that where they had that on ABC instead of the game. You can still stream it. It looks like. Based off what I can tell, which is good. If you have that capability on Watch ESPN or whatever. I'm watching Texas West Virginia right now myself. Texas up 10-7 with about 10:41 remaining in the second quarter. But so far, been really impressed with Indiana. It's been kind of a sloppy start to the morning for a lot of teams, especially out west in the Pac-12 with the one game that's going on there, USC, Arizona State. USC, though, leads 14-10. I'll tell you what, Keaton Slovis has 153 yards passing so far. They really, I guess, kind of warmed up there since I was starting the stream. I was trying to get the stream all going, and it was kind of sloppy to start, but now it's warming up a little bit. 14-10. Over there in Los Angeles. So some close games so far. Northwestern up 7-6 on 0-1 Nebraska. And then the game I'm really, really interested in this morning is Liberty, just fresh in the top 25 at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech up 17-14 right now. Liberty led early 7-0. Something to watch there. Michigan State now down 21-0 to Iowa. So let me kind of reset everything here. I know I went through some scores there, but I just want to show you the scores that we have right now so you can get a better look at what's going on. So here we go. As I said, this is our CBS Sports scoreboard. Texas up 10-7 on West Virginia, as we mentioned. Georgia State, Louisiana Monroe. No one cares about that. Though it's amazing how bad Louisiana Monroe is this year. Duke well on its way to a loss already, even late in the first half. Tulane continues to be a team that doesn't have a great record, but just seems to just kind of chug along and win some games here and there. SMU, as I said, down 13-10 to Temple. They were down 13-7. They kicked a field goal. Arkansas State up on Louisiana right now. Louisiana, a team bordering on the top 25, as most of you know, after their season opening win against Iowa State at Iowa State. Arkansas State's been a bit disappointing this year. Even though they upset Kansas State on the road earlier this year, they've lost 4 games still. Indiana, as I said, up 17-7, looking impressive. The most impressive team so far I've seen today while watching it. I've got it on the TV screen over here right now. I've got West Virginia, Texas right here on this screen. And I've got another game on the screen here too that I can't see right now because I got this scoreboard up. Nebraska, as I said, Nebraska up now 13-7 at Northwestern. That can mix things up in the Big Ten here early in the season. Arizona State, as I said, losing to USC. USC up 14-10. Michigan State just laying an egg at Iowa, 21-0 right now. So, those are your games this morning so far. Look at the scoreboard. I'd like to get your interaction, see what you guys think of these early games. Michigan just dropping a pass right now. I mean, Michigan's offense has just been, after that Minnesota game, I guess it's just not as good, obviously, as we thought, but maybe it's just not good. I thought Joe Milton would give them a spark at quarterback, but obviously that's not panning out at this moment. I don't know where that rumor started, Big Pat in the Periscope chat. Am I still paying a walk-on for information? Number one, I don't have the money to pay anybody for information. Number two, I never would, never have, and never will. That is ethically wrong. I am not paying anybody for information. If a walk-on, who says I was even getting information ever from a walk-on, wants to give me information, that's to their own digressions. Wow, that's silly. Harbaugh's not getting it done, and he's had time to turn it around. I agree. He's just not getting it done right now. Obviously, this is a big game for him. We mentioned this in our overreactions and also in our coaching carousel piece a week or so ago. Harbaugh's in a position where his contract is the only one nationally that in the Power 5 that's at 2 years or less remaining on the contract, and there's no really signs that he's possibly going to sign something for the end of the season. He's got a contract apparently ready to sign if he wants it, but he decided to kind of leave it on the table. The reasons for that: one, Harbaugh's an eccentric guy. He plays by his own rules. Two, he's got a lot of Michigan people, boosters, administrators in his corner. But I think also he probably wants to leave the door open, in my opinion, leaves the door open to go back to the NFL or just step away on his own without having to pay like a big buyout. So one way or the other, it certainly looks like that marriage between Harbaugh and Michigan is nearing an end one way or another. And it might be one of those situations where it's very amicable and Jim Harbaugh just walks away if things don't work out this year. But Indiana has the ball again against Michigan. They're starting inside their own 5-yard line, however, with 5:08 remaining in the first half against Michigan. Indiana up 17-7. Number 13 Indiana, believe it or not, against number 23 Michigan. Jim Harbaugh back in the khakis. Back in the khakis. You know, it's amazing just how difficult Michigan has found it here in these last 10 years. But college football's like that, man. If your main rival gets on a roll, it is difficult to overcome. I mean, look at Alabama, Auburn, for example. Auburn's won its fair share, but it doesn't have a winning record against Alabama. But at least Auburn, unlike Michigan, has beaten Alabama and has been to national championship games here in the last 10 years. Michigan has not been able to do that, obviously, and win SEC and win conference titles. Texas is another one. Can't overcome what OU's doing right now because they've done so well. OU has in recruiting and beating Texas head to head. What a throw by Michael Penix there. See, we're getting hit in the back there. Again, keeping my eyes on Michigan, Indiana, and also Texas, West Virginia. Indiana, Michigan, one of our first 4 ranked against ranked matchups of this weekend. This is the biggest weekend, really, of the college football season so far, and probably will be throughout the regular season. I think there's something like 10 remaining ranked against ranked games, including this weekend. So you got 6 ranked against ranked games after this in the regular season. Of course, that can change as teams fall out of the top 25 and move up into the top 25. But as it stands now, things don't look too great. Man, Indiana's just carving up Michigan through the air. Michael Penix, 19 of 28, 209 yards, 2 touchdowns so far in the first half, and they are driving after being inside their own 5-yard line. Michigan just getting open, good route running. Texas about to punt from midfield. But I want to thank everybody that's watching across Twitch, YouTube, Periscope, and my personal Facebook page, I believe, which no one's got access to except for my friends. And when I say friends, I don't have any friends, so I don't know what's going on there. I say friends. Friends. Okay. You have to ask before you go, where do I see Auburn going for the rest of the season? I know LSU is down, but it's the first time Auburn was complete on both sides of the ball. You're talking about last week's 48-11 victory by Auburn against LSU. Auburn has a chance to win all of its remaining games other than the Iron Bowl. Alabama, listen, I think Alabama is probably going to beat every remaining SEC opponent outside the SEC championship game by double digits, and that includes Auburn. But Auburn could win, I think, the remainder of their games, including the season finale against Texas A&M. And if that happens, they very well will be and could be number 2 in the conference, in the SEC West, I should say, not the conference, which would put them in position potentially, depending on how bowl scenarios work out. Which, goodness gracious, good luck finding that out with this way the season's going, and some conferences playing 7 games, some might even be playing less because of COVID-19 issues. We've seen two Pac-12 games be canceled this week, just in the opening week for them because of COVID-19 issues. But anyway, Auburn could potentially be in a New Year's Six bowl if they win every game other than Alabama this year. If they win every game, maybe they're a dark horse playoff team potentially, but that would be very difficult considering that their loss would be to South Carolina, unless South Carolina goes on a roll too. But anyway, and come back to Auburn, he says. I'm not doing that. Sorry. I know some of you loved me. Some of you hated me. I loved Auburn. I still miss it. But I'm very happy with where I'm at professionally and personally, being back home with family. So I appreciate that. But I keep track of Auburn, obviously. I've covered a couple of games from the couch because of this pandemic this year, including last week's game against LSU. Today, I'm obviously keeping close eyes on all these ranked against ranked matchups, but today for 24/7 Sports, I'm covering specifically and analyzing Florida against Georgia, which is the 3:30 Eastern game on CBS. Obviously, very interested to see how that goes, but I think that game's a coin toss at this point. I side with the better quarterback at this point. But I don't know. Maybe Kirby Smart's in Dan Mullen's mind. You know what I mean? With that rivalry right now. I don't know. And technically, I guess Georgia is more talented across the board. It's just, man, that quarterback position, if you have an above average to elite quarterback and you're going against someone who's just average, like Stetson Bennett, like the guy, I love his story, but he's average. He's 5'9". He gets a lot of batted passes, makes some mistakes, throws interceptions, not consistent downfield, as we wrote this week in my column, Where is JT Daniels, the USC transfer who has been unable to play so far this season. You just wonder if at some point, other than the Alabama game, of course, where we already saw it, but at some point it just bites them in a game in the SEC East as well. And Florida would be the best opportunity for that to happen, but it might end up being someone else. Who knows? And maybe it should have already been. But I give the slight edge to Florida, but I think it's a toss-up, and I can't wait to watch it today. Can't wait. We will miss your honest, thorough analysis. Congratulations, man. I might be back on later. Hey, thanks. Thanks for joining in. I like just doing this for fun and chatting with everybody. I know it's not as popular as my previous Auburn broadcast that I would do after games or in the middle of games or whatever. I had a much bigger base then. Still trying to get my feet on the ground on the national scene. Here's my excuses. It's been difficult during a pandemic and not being able to travel and see people face to face, develop relationships. But I got to do a better job for you guys and for my employer. Let's see here. But thanks, Chris. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for stopping in. I appreciate you, man. Michigan State just absolutely getting bludgeoned by Iowa. Incredible. I didn't think Michigan State was going to be very, very good this year, but watching them beat Michigan last week, I was like, what the heck? Is Michigan that bad, or is Michigan State that bad? And Indiana's about to potentially score here. And they do on 2nd and goal. What a drive. That was like a 96-yard drive to put Indiana up, pending the PAT here, 24-7 on Michigan early. I tell you what, impressive by Indiana, guys. This is impressive. Wow. Little rub. That's not really yeah, that's a rub route. Incredible drive to end the first half. Fantastic drive. So yes, 24-7 Indiana over Michigan right now. Wow. Let's look at scores. North Carolina continued to beat up on Duke, 42-7. Texas, West Virginia remains 10-7 right now. West Virginia facing 3rd and 10 from its own 37. SMU continues to lose to Temple. Now it's at halftime. Temple up 13-10. Arkansas State up 6-0 against Louisiana at halftime. And what looks like a very sloppy game. Both quarterbacks have only combined for 159 yards passing. And as I mentioned, Indiana, number 13, up 24-7 on Michigan. I believe Michigan was, a 3-point favorite heading into this game on the road. And, man, not looking good so far. We'll see what they've got in the second half here. Nebraska beating Northwestern 13-7. Liberty behind 20-14 at Virginia Tech. That is a very interesting game to me. I do not have access to the ACC network, sadly. Please help me, my cable provider. Arizona State now up 17-14. I need to turn to that game here during halftime of this one. In fact, I'm going to do that right now. Let's see here. Arizona State, USC. That's on Fox. Are they doing election coverage instead? Or are they actually showing the game? No, they're showing the game. Okay. So I got on Arizona State Fox. Arizona State, USC. Getting my 3-letter acronyms mixed up. But Iowa, look at this. Iowa. Iowa up 35-0. 0-2 Iowa. Up 35-0 on Michigan State. Nuts. I'm interested to see what kind of numbers we've got here. Ground game for Iowa, looks like. Well, I don't think Iowa will be a factor in the Big 12 race, but as far as like being a contender, but they could spoil a team or two maybe. Who knows? That would be interesting. Yep, but that's the games right now. Troy, Georgia Southern's like a sneaky good game if you're into that. All right, let me pull my other game up here. By the way, I hope everybody had a good week. I know it's been a crazy week in America. All right, there we go. West Virginia has the ball. Tip pass. Oh, quarterback caught it again. You can't double pass though. Can't do that. Can't do that. I've seen it. I've seen it in person. I remember at Auburn, Nick Marshall, I think, trying to do that once, where a pass was batted to him. He caught his own pass and then tried to throw it again. You can't do that. You can catch it and run, which he should have done there, but you can't double pass. So 8 seconds left at Arizona State. At USC. Arizona State at USC. 4th and 1 coming up with 8 seconds remaining in the first half. But so far, the most impressive team in the morning has been Indiana. By far. Very impressive. You guys make sure, wherever you're at, get in the chat, post any questions, interact, or whatever if you're around. And I can see them on the screen. They pop up on the screen right there, if you like. You know what? Let's go and look at some odds. What do you say we go look at some odds? I'm not a gambling guy. A lot of folks are, even in the media, and they know more than me. But I just want to see where these odds are. I have not looked at them other than earlier this week. Also, I'm sure some of you have seen it, but there's reports out there that Gary Anderson, the head coach of Utah State, for a second time, is on his way out after starting 0-3. Gary Anderson, of course, coached at Utah State before, left in 2012, I think, to go to Wisconsin, then left Wisconsin for Oregon State. Then some text messages came out with him dogging his assistant coaches or whatever. I mean, but that happens. And anyway, he left Oregon State or something. All that crap went to heck, and then resurfaced at Utah State, and that's ending already. I would say his head coaching career is over. No matter where he goes in life, I think he'll just be an assistant coach. Right? Right. Nice talk. All right, odds. Nebraska at Northwestern. Northwestern was a 3.5-point favorite at home. Not too surprising. Nebraska is up early. Liberty at Virginia Tech. Here's the thing. Virginia Tech's 17-point favorite against the nationally ranked Liberty Flames. Not unexpected. Wasn't expecting it to be that wide of a gap, though, 17 points. But Liberty's making a game of it. In fact, led early at 1 point. Texas is a 6.5-point favorite against West Virginia at home. West Virginia playing much better of late, of course, has beaten Kansas State, a team that was, at the time, undefeated in the Big 12, but West Virginia knocked them around. West Virginia, Texas, something certainly to watch here when it comes to the Big 12. Championship race to get in the championship game. Michigan State, Iowa. Iowa was a 6.5-point favorite. Iowa, of course, beating up on them right now. Iowa up 35-0 at halftime, as you can see here. Incredible. SMU at Temple. Temple was a 17.5-point underdog, yet Temple leads SMU right now. It's Temple, a 17.5-point underdog, nationally ranked SMU. I believe SMU is number 18 in the country. Tulane at UCA. Who cares? Duke was a 11-point underdog. They're getting bludgeoned right now. Indiana was a 4-point underdog heading into today, according to William Hill Sportsbook. 4-point underdog, and they are up 24-7 here at halftime. Arizona State at USC. USC 11.5-point favorite. Not unexpected. I'm kind of surprised it's a double-digit favorite, considering no fans in the stands, and also Arizona State, in my eyes, might be the third or fourth best team in the Pac-12 right now. But as we go back and look at that score, that game just went to halftime. You know, Arizona State leads 17-14. So there you go. I wrote a column yesterday asking, hey, is Oregon actually the favorite in the Pac-12? Because everybody's been writing up and saying, hey, Oregon's going to win the Pac-12. They have just recruited so well under Mario Cristobal. Forget that they have to replace their entire offensive line. Forget that they had 3 defensive backs opt out for the season. Forget that they had to replace Justin Herbert at quarterback. No, they're going to be fine. And not only that, they're going to win the Pac 12 for a second straight year after winning 12 games last year. Meanwhile, you got USC, which is technically, according to the 24/7 Sports team composite, where they take the rankings of recruiting rankings of the players currently on the roster. They're more talented technically than Oregon. And also, they have great skill players returning, including at quarterback and receiver. So, in my eyes, USC is a better team. But Oregon has the better coach. I'm not a Clay Helton stan, so to speak, as the kids would say, right? Clay Helton, listen, players win games, coaches lose them. Arizona State's up 17-14 at number 20 USC right now. Very interesting right there right now. We'll see if USC can bounce back, but I can't wait to watch Oregon Stanford later today. More odds. Arkansas State, Louisiana Lafayette. Louisiana Lafayette, 14-point favorite, but they were losing to Arkansas State 6-0 early. Boston College, Syracuse, who cares? Florida, Georgia, that's the toss-up game, in my opinion, and sure enough. Georgia, a 3-point favorite in Jacksonville, a neutral site, so there's no home field advantage, so to speak, where you get like 3 or 4 points, or as I've seen some people say in the COVID era, a home team, depending on the circumstances with COVID-19 protocols for fans and how many fans are allowed in the stands, it's about a 2-point swing if you're playing at home in a lot of ways instead of 3 or 4 points. So, there you go. Houston, Cincy a 13-point favorite against Cincy. Cincy's obviously got to keep winning to be in the playoff hunt, though I don't think they're going to be in the playoff no matter what happens this year. Penn State, Penn State 0-2 against Maryland. Penn State a 27.5-point favorite. Kansas, Oklahoma. Oh, goodness, that's going to be ugly. Texas Tech, TCU. TCU a 10-point favorite. Ooh, I won't touch that line. Tech can score in bunches, and it's just been a weird year for them. Vandy at Mississippi State. Mississippi State an 18.5-point favorite. Mississippi State, I don't think has scored 18 points. And it's like last 3 games or something like that, right? I'd take Vandy to cover. Also, I guess there's rumors that Will Rogers, their freshman quarterback at Mississippi State, is going to potentially start over KJ Costello. I know that's not confirmed, but I would take Vandy I would take Vandy to cover that spread. Minnesota, Illinois. Minnesota's 7-point favorite. That game's going to be boring. Pitt at Florida State is sneaky good. Look at this. Florida State a 2-point favorite against Pitt. Wouldn't touch that. Of course, I'm not really looking at the over-unders. I'm just looking at spreads. Oklahoma State at Kansas State. Oklahoma State's a 14.5-point favorite. I'd take Kansas State to cover that. Yeah, I think so. Baylor at Iowa State. Iowa State a 14-point favorite. Wouldn't touch that. UCLA at Colorado. UCLA a 6-point favorite. Wouldn't touch it. This is an interesting one. Texas A&M at South Carolina. A&M a 10-point favorite. Wouldn't touch it. Tennessee at Arkansas. Tennessee a 2-point favorite. Oh, man, that thing's tempting. I don't know. Don't know about that one. I mean, Tennessee is so unpredictable at this point, but almost predictable because of what they've done these last 2 games. But they're probably going to get back on track today against Arkansas, unless Arkansas's defense forces a few turnovers. I would maybe take a chance on that game and say Arkansas obviously covers and wins straight up. The over-under is 52.5 points. Not sure I see that. So I maybe would go under on that. I know I wasn't talking over-unders, but now I'm looking at it. Stanford, Oregon. Oregon a 10-point favorite. That's about right, and I don't know if I'd touch it. Stanford is much bigger along the defensive line than they were last year, and they should be better offensively because of the quarterback, Davis Mills. That's a tough one to call. The big game today, outside of Georgia, Florida, which is huge already. Clemson at Notre Dame. Trevor Lawrence, of course, out for this game, but I think Clemson's doing just fine with DJ at quarterback. Notre Dame is a 5-point underdog at home. I take Clemson to cover. Yeah, I take Clemson to cover. I said this earlier. That, you know how Clemson wins this, or excuse me, Notre Dame wins this game is if Notre Dame's offensive line, which is impressive, might be the best in the country, if they dominate Clemson in the trenches and Ian Book plays just an above average game, not elite, but quarterback Ian Book plays just an above average game, Notre Dame can win. But that offensive line has got to dominate. So, and that's a lot to ask, even of, potentially the best offensive line in the country going against that Clemson defensive line. So I'd say Clemson covers and wins. Washington State, Oregon State. Could be a sloppy game. Though I'm interested to watch Washington State and what they do with their new coach, Nick Rolovich. Okay. So a lot of games at halftime right now. Nebraska, Northwestern just entered the second half. In the Michigan game, Dan Deerdorf, who's calling the game, Michigan, Indiana up 24-7 at halftime. Dan Deerdorf said, quote, "That's as bad of a half of Michigan football I have seen since he's been in the booth," according to a Michigan reporter on Twitter. Wow. But yeah, so a lot of games at halftime. Arkansas State, Louisiana is now underway. Louisiana, Lafayette just scored a touchdown, take a 7-6 lead there. And we're still waiting for Texas, West Virginia to get back at it. All right. Texas trying to kick a field goal here with 12 seconds left in the first half. 48-yarder. That's no good. Yeah, no good. So, looks like it will remain 10-7 at halftime in Texas's favor. Typical Texas, just kind of being slow to do anything incredible. I'll tell you what, guys. I don't know if you've seen this. Mississippi State's wearing throwback helmets to their days where their solid M logo was a a rocket going through because Mississippi State was so heavily involved with space program early in during the space race days. I don't know if you guys know that. They're wearing throwback helmets with that logo, and I've always loved that logo. They painted it at midfield today. It's so great, man. I love it. Love it. Memphis losing to South Florida. Hmm. The one bad thing, I'll say this, the one bad thing about every game like kicking off at 11 a.m. in the morning is everything goes to halftime at the same time. And then we're all sitting here for like 20 minutes with not much going on. Ugh. All right, Liberty Virginia Tech is back underway, but I don't have access to the ACC network. Hmm. Pretty much just watching highlights right now. How many live games? Wow, Michigan's averaging only 1.2 yard per carry, and they're 0 for 6 on third down against Indiana in the first half. That's incredible. Give me games. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off. There's 3 of you watching. But I like doing this. Maybe someday it'll catch on, maybe, but maybe not. We'll just keep doing it. It's sad. It's sad existence. Catch me on Twitter at bmarcello because so many people care. All right. See you guys down the road.